Right, it is a new day. Just a little bit of a new day. Oh, this is already going great. We have No Diff Unks versus LogiSwords here. So, No Diff Unks just coming off 3-0 in a team. LogiSwords just coming off getting 3-0. We're going to be starting on Route 66. These two teams are actually fairly good. Middle two teams in their division. They are the second and third team respectively and get good, I believe. Yes, they are currently separated. Actually, they have the same exact record going into this. The only difference is a little bit better map diff for LogiSwords. Which I forgot to update the standings of the last match last night. It looks like. I'm fixing that right now. Alright, there we go. So middle two teams of Get Good. Gonna be battling this one out. Get Good. Okay, here we go. Hanzo gonna come out here. Reaper picking up the Moira first, however. Hanzo's gonna get traded. Sorry, pretty low on cart, however, not gonna mean a whole bunch because the rest of the squad is dead. Good push here by LogiSwords to start off. Alright, here comes No Diff Unks on the high ground. Well, we'll be the first to fall. Now I go look for No Diff Unks. Widow doing as best as she can, but she will eventually just fall. That is a team fight victory here for LogiSwords, as they should finally push through this first point. En route. No Diff Unks. A little bit on the back foot, losing 2 back-to-back fights. Only seeing a couple picks come their way. Can they get a touch here? They can. So Rissa actually out for the touch. Don't know if it's going to matter. Moira's first to fall again. And that is going to result in a very quick team fight victory here for LogiSwords, as they will take this first point. Rissa pushing in. Gonna go down to the Reaper. And they will get back on this cart here. Can No Diff Unks get a fight? They want to make this 2 fights if they can. They're going to go down low here. Or is it going to get this touch? However, Moira just dying immediately again. It's like the 4th fight that she's just died first. Should result in LogiSwords taking the 2nd checkpoint, and they are cruising on Route 66. Might see 1 touch here. We will probably see a fight here, more than likely, even if they do cap, just because they do like to push out. Even if they've already committed to this high ground, they do like to push out and drop down. So even if they cap here, unfortunately for... Oh my word, what a huge ult by Orisa, but unfortunately they do let the payload slip by. So you're able to pick up a 3k with Orisa. But I don't think that's going to be enough here. Widow popping the infrasight. Orisa does manage to pick up 2 here. Cassidy and Orisa working well together. Keep themselves alive on this point. We will not see the Zarya ult come out, or the Hanzo ult. So all they really got to work with here is Death Blossom to get out of this. This third point has been a little bit of a hurdle here for LogiSwords. They've been cruising up until this point. Orisa is going to get traded out, so that means LogiSwords should be able to take this here now. Sorry, it could go down. Ooh, 1 HP in a dream. She does live. So now the cart's going to begin moving again for LogiSwords here. They should be able to finish this Route 66 map. Having a very good time here. Getting closer and closer. 3 minutes in the time bank just to finish this last point. It's a lot of time to work with. Orisa's going to come out. Going to challenge these tanks. The coalescence comes through. Might actually be clutch here. Does result in a little bit of a team 5 victory there. I believe Zarya is going to go down. Reaper able to survive. Getting out with his life. Seen a lot less deathmatch lately. I'm wondering... Haven't seen a deathmatch map in a while. Maybe they were just a little overplayed for a while, so the game stopped giving them to me. Anyways, here comes Queen. She does get on this Widowmaker. Widowmaker going down to half. Oh, it does look like she is going to live here, though. Orisa helping peel for her a bit there. Reaper's going to go next, and the horse is loose. LogiSwords versus No Diff Unks, looking like a quality matchup here. It's actually huge for the standings. Whoever can win this matchup consistently is going to probably reach the playoffs. Orisa able to take out Hanzo. Huge ult by Orisa. Sucks up 3, however, just not quite enough. Junker Queen will go down. Zarya coming out on the side. Just trying to poke and prod, but just not doing enough there. Reaper is behind them. However, he does get spotted out. He uses that Wraith form. He is on the Moira now. Moira does go down to half, however, Hanzo dies to Orisa in the front. Now Reaper's going to fall. This is looking like a LogiSword stagger, and you'd think with 3 minutes going into this final area, you'd have a very good chance, but all of a sudden, No Diff Unks are kind of taking over here. Having the horse, having the Cassidy. Makes this team kind of threatening. Widowmaker can also just randomly get a pick at times. Moira might be the weak link here. Reaper is going to help find the Moira there, or the Orisa, I mean. Queen is going to fall to Widow, though. So they do trade out one of the tanks. However, still a very much of a health advantage here on the side of LogiSwords. It's all that's left is Moira now. Now the real question becomes, can they stay on this payload to push it to the end here? Really want to finish this map? Do we expect No Diff Unks to finish? I don't know. But you want to finish yourself. So, they are still on the payload here. Picking up the Orisa. She tries to re-engage. Moira's going to come in here and die too. And it looks like LogiSwords are going to win this fight. The real question just remains, for how long do we see the bots stick to the payload here? They're doing a good job so far. They got 1 on cart. 2 on cart. Okay, Arissa's gonna come in. She does go low very quickly. Notifunk's just staggering. And this is, oh, looking like a C9. Ooh, Reaper barely able to touch. However, that is where they will finally C9 the cart. So, as we know with bots, they don't always stick to the payload in those overtime spots. And it can lead to frustrating loss of full cap. So they do not finish the map because they go off the point for kills. This is where no defunks have to push to win. A little bit of a misplay here from LogiSwords. I think it is very doable for no defunks. Two very solid rosters matching up here. And 2 of the better teams we have in Overbots. There does seem to be this season, there seems to be 3 very strong teams in Get Good and 2 extremely strong teams in Never Back Down. A little bit of a difference from last season where we had 1 mega team from both sides going up against each other at the end, and one of them was just even better than the other mega team. But this season, it seems like there's multiple contenders here, and it looks like there's going to be a little bit of a playoff battle here to see who can get into the playoffs between LogiSwords and this No Diff Unk squad. They are very close in the standings. They currently share the same record at 3-2. Widow's going to fall here. Cassidy's going to go down next. So, No Diff Unk's not able to push through here against LogiSwords on this first attack. Not a great look so far. You're going to want like 1 pick to start, and then once you get that 1 pick, you'll be able to cycle that into a team fight victory eventually, probably, with how staggering works. So, they come again. They are going to go on the low ground. Javelin does hit something. I don't know what it hit. Moira is going to throw out that orb. Reaper is behind. However, he might be feeding himself in a little bit. Actually, he manages to get the Moira and the Cassidy. That just is going to result in a team fight victory here again for LogiSwords. And this is looking like a good spawn camp going here for LogiSwords. See, despite not finishing the map, you got to feel good about this. Queen probably going to go down here. So now there's a trade. So what you kind of want to see if you're No Diff Unks. Once you get this payload started, it gets a little bit easier. Alright. So going to push up onto this high ground. Cassidy going on the flank. No queen in play here. Hanzo could go down. He will. Queen should be back shortly though. Reaper could fall. Moira and Orisa just working together here. Orisa, eventually though, they do lose their Moira. Orisa putting herself down on cart, and No Diff Unks will eventually push through this. All that's left is Queen. They do eventually push through, but now 2 minutes already off the clock, 2 minutes and about a half, and you have to win like 2 more fights, maybe just 1, to push through this first point. Alright, here come LogiSwords. If they win this next fight, suddenly No Diff Unks are going to have to win 2 fights with a lot less time on the clock. Huge combo coming out from the Orisa and the Cass, and that will lead to a team fight victory there. Moira going to push this cart in, and okay, so maybe it was just 1 after all. And that does mean No Diff Unks will now get an extra 2 minutes or so. We'll see a fight here. We have a full ultimate advantage for LogiSwords with their 2 ults that they actually use online here. Here comes the huge Queen ult with the Reaper ult, is going to result probably in a teamfight victory for LogiSwords here. And it will. So, now you're down some ults, but in a better spot altogether. Because you do at least take that first point, which means you give yourself a chance to continue this map and maybe win. Ursa will go down. Cassidy able to pick up the Zarya on the back half there. Good little pick. Means when the respawns come through, they should have a chance at an uneven fight with them in favor. Yep, so Cass is back now. We should see a 3-on-4 battle here before that Zarya gets back. Queen might go down back there. She will. She's getting very low back there. Now Reaper's going to fall. Just Hanzo left on cart, and Zarya is going to maybe stagger in here after all is said and done. Hanzo's going to go around, and eventually I think he's going to fall. He will. Okay. So now LogiSwords kind of in a weird spot where now it's looking a little bit suspect because, I mean, no Diff Unks, you had them on the ropes, had a spawn camp, but now they're pushing a little bit, getting a little bit of momentum. And if they get this momentum and carry it all the way through third point, you could end up losing this map still as LogiSwords, despite having a pretty good advantage off the rip there. Alright, Orisa does have that ult, something to watch out for. Jungle Queen goes very low and just falls to the scrutiny of no Diff Unks here. Zarya's going to go down next. Maybe not actually. Hanzo very low, he will fall. Reaper versus Widow in the small room. Reaper about half HP, and this is looking like a no Diff Unks victory for the for that fight. But do they push the payload? We could see a very similar story to what happened to LogiSwords. Only 50 seconds on the clock. A chance of a C9 happening are incredibly likely here. Recontest. However, you don't have any ults, and we have the Orisa Cass combo. That combo has been brutal to deal with for some of these teams. Here it comes. And Zarya just popped like a balloon. Now it is a 4v2 on point. Orisa staying on the payload here for her squad. Hoping they don't see 9 here. Oh, they might. Okay, there is a touch within 5 seconds, and they will eventually cap it. Got a little bit sketchy there for no Diff Unks, but now you have a minute and a half to keep pushing here, and you have all the momentum. However, on the other side, LogiSwords have the ults. Coming down to the absolute wire here between no Diff Unks and LogiSwords. Queen getting in. She does get a 4-man ultimate here. This could be huge. Cassidy will be the first to fall. Moira will go down next. Good push here, but unfortunately you do use your only 2 ults. Which does mean that there's going to be a lot of advantage to oh my, Cassidy absolutely going off there. Wow, okay. Here comes the coalescence. And this should be in no Diff Unks' favor. However, there are the 2 DPS they still have to worry about here. Reaper's going to go down. Hanzo's going to go down next. Now it becomes a story of can they touch the payload. They're not touching it right now. They got 5 seconds to get on. They do. Okay, now here's where we really get to see, do they stick to this payload? Orisa's going to fall first, and that's not what you want to see. I think LogiSwords are just going to edge this one out. Do we see a touch? We do not. and that is going to be where it ends. LogiSword just barely edging out No Diff on this first map. Very good map we see from both teams. Lots of grit in that one. Had a huge hold from No Diff Unks on the third point, despite getting rolled through the rest of the map. And on the other end, they were also able to just keep going. They do eventually lose the map, but the way they grinded that out made it look a lot more close. And we cannot play on Route 66 again, so that will be turned off. Alright, looks like we're going to Antarctic Peninsula, so LogiSwords up in the series 1-0. Good start for them, especially after getting 3-0'd earlier this week against, who did they get 3-0'd against? Did they play AI? I believe they played AI, so it's just one of those teams where you kind of just have to say GG, go next. Unless you are very specially optimized to deal with that Bastion. Alright. No Diff Unks not looking out of this one, though. They do look very competitive with this LogiSword squad, so looking like two of the most evenly matched teams we might have in this league. Although LogiSwords and Rush Hour are pretty close as well. This is like, except for Rush Hour have the advantage there, and in this one LogiSwords have the advantage, so it's a little bit different matchup. However, No Diff Unks, very powerful team. We have seen how Cassidy has carried that squad. And Arissa. Can't forget the horse. Alright, Cassidy gonna go in here. He does use that roll a little early. Could come back to bite him. Widowmaker's the first to fall. Moira's gonna go down next. Cassidy does pick off one, but he will fall. And LogiSwords just doing what they do best. Sustaining and taking fights with high damage. Alright. Here comes No Diff Unks, trying to make a difference here. Missing that jab immediately is not what you want to see from your Arissa. Widowmaker gonna come in here. She does scope in. Hits like a body shot or something, but eventually will die. Cassidy, once again, getting one. Just not enough to win a fight here. No Diff Unks are gonna have to put something special together here if they want to win this map, I think. Antarctic Peninsula seems to go pretty heavily in favor of LogiSwords here, especially with the lack of ultimates that you can build up on this. Okay, so gonna come in. Hanzo actually getting Widowback in the back. Very good pick from Hanzo here. Probably gonna lead to a Team 5 victory. Pretty easy one. Moira's just not playing with her team there. She's only at 34% of the way to her ult. This is an ult that usually builds really quickly. So you can see that supports sometimes are just probably the bottom of the barrel characters for bots. Okay. Moira does fall, and it looks like her team might ill-advised push in here. Not what you want to see here if you are No Diff Unks. However, if they can get a pick and make this even really fast, which they will not do. So yeah, that's probably just gonna, yep. Okay, so unfortunately, not able to quite be useful here. Moira just kind of not on the same page as her squad. She seems to be going in a little bit late every time. And that will lead to an easy LogiSwords 100-0 on the second map. No Diff Unks really got to focus up here if you want to win this matchup. You are facing a squad that, for all intents and purposes, is near the top echelons of this league. No Diff Unks just have to focus up a little bit here. My dog is whining at me, so one second, I'm gonna go get him water, and I will give you guys a top-down view of this point for a little bit. Hopefully it doesn't end. I watched that from a little bit away, and that looked insane. Widowmaker got 2 in that fight, and then Hanzo came back and turned it around in his team's favor. It just like went all over the place in that. Looked like everyone was clutching up. Alright. Here come no Diff Unks. Moira will be the first to fall here. Hans is going to go down quickly after her, though. Can no Diff Unks make a difference with that pick? Widow versus Reaper on point. However, I think Reaper just wins this. Strafing on that Widow, not letting her hit that headshot. Even if she does, she cannot. Can she one-shot Reaper? I'm not sure. I think she can. Wait, yeah, she one-shots Reaper, right? I don't know. Alright, anyways. Come no Diff Unks for another fight. I want to see Moira not die first in this fight. Well, unfortunately, just not going to see that. She's not focusing up here. Cassidy going to get Reaper, but that's just not enough. LogiSwords running away with this second map. They are going to be up 2-0 after this one, it looks like. A lot of 3-0s in the Overbots League. That is for sure. Alright, we got 90% on the clock here. I think that no Diff Unks are going to get one more fight, but I don't know if it's going to be enough for them to bring this back. A 1-for-1 trade happens. Reaper getting Moira. Though, Cassidy going to get the Queen, but that's just not going to be enough with the Hanzo and the Reaper still alive. That is going to be a 100-0, 100-0 Antarctic Peninsula for the LogiSwords. Looking very clean today. So you get, let's see, yesterday I believe they got 3-0'd by AI. Feels good to turn around here and play against a rival. Come up 2-0. Headed into this next map with a pretty big lead. Will be Eichenwald, so we will have a hybrid here. Gonna see LogiSwords on the attack first. And a great showing on Route 66. Got a little bit held up on that third point, but didn't matter in the end as they were able to hold the other push to its third point earlier. These payload maps, though, these are the ones that you really got to give it to no Diff Unks. They have a very good chance of winning these types of maps, I feel like. Koth map, where you don't get those ultimates going, not going to be as powerful, but here where you get a lot of ults, the Orisa Cassidy combo seem to be working very well against this team. However, neutral, it seems like LogiSwords hold the edge. When ults come online, however, the story seems to change a little bit. Alright, here we go. LogiSwords going to begin their push. Going through the building. Versus going to hit the jab. Zarya being the first one to fall here is a good sign if you're no Diffunks. Sniper's putting in some work here, and it's a 3-on-2. There's 3-on-1. Don't want to let Hanzo get a pick here. They will eventually be able to deal with him. And that is already about a minute off the clock. A little bit less than that. 45 seconds. So you gotta feel good if you are no Diffunks, holding off that first push. Here comes the second one though. About a minute in. Alright, Zarya approaching the cart. Does not go down immediately this time. And they are able to pick up that cast. It's a big pick. Widowmaker able to find one with her Venom Mine, but that's just not going to be enough. LogiSwords getting the job done here. Trying to secure this 3-0. Takes them 2 fights, but they do eventually get the job done. Now the next fight we see should be around here. So no Diffunks going to come back for another touch here. Moira gonna go down. Cass gonna take the Hanzo. Moira, Orisa versus Junker Queen. Doesn't seem to matter. Are you gonna take out that Cass? Widowmaker. Taken down. Now, no Diffunks. Gotta regroup. Gotta come back in here. Pretty strong. Gonna drop off the high ground here. Orisa getting right into the enemy team. She will eventually fall. Zarya's gonna trade it out here. Reaper ult's not finding too much there. However, he does get in the back line. He probably will find both DPS, and he does. Hanzo working on the back end, getting pick off that Moira a little bit earlier. See if can we get another touch here from. No, LogiSwords will push this in. Gonna go to the third point, and we got a 5-minute time bank going into this. It's looking like no Diffunks are a little bit on the back foot. I don't know. Don't know if they're gonna be able to run this back. Hanzo will go down. Cassidy and Orisa just immediately popping those ults. A little bit of strange usage here. Reaper will fall because of it. 4 minutes on the clock. Looking like LogiSwords have all of the eggs in their basket. Zarya does fall here. Trade out for the Widow. Huge anti coming out. However, Coalescence is a very strong counter ultimate to that, especially because she can just fade and get rid of the cleanse herself of that anti, and Cassidy able to find the Reaper. Does mean I think no Diffunks are going to hold it a little bit longer here. Oh, however, Hanzo able to find the Cassidy. And never mind, it looks like LogiSwords will be able to push through there. They're going to have a massive time bank. Pretty much demolishing no Diffunks on the second vault. Widowmaker going to come in. Probably just going to get herself killed. I don't know why she's doing this. But she did it anyways. Cassidy and Orisa getting a couple picks, but too little too late here it seems. think Arissa's gonna grab this touch. Maybe just with the space she's taken. Despite everything. Ooh, Arissa is getting a little bit fried by this Zarya. Reaper's gonna come in at half. I think he is gonna fall though. He will. Zarya could go down next here. Getting very low, she will fall. We'll trade out that Widow, but I don't think that's gonna mean a whole lot here. As Queen is getting very, very low. No Defunct's just doing whatever it takes to get out here and get these picks. Got Queen kind of in your back. She will probably fall here. However, Cassidy just runs right into the Reaper. Reaper gets stunned out of his jump there, and he will eventually just die. Gonna pop that bubble. However, Zarya and Queen are on the point. Are we gonna see a touch from No Defunks? We will. We will not see a C9. The High Noon could be massive here. It is not. Where did he even High Noon from? What an odd use. He does get a pick though. A minute and a half left. No Defunks coming up to challenge this Reaper. Is taken the long way around. Looks like Reaper might fall, and he will. On the point though. 3 on cart from LogiSwords. They are pushing a little bit here. Cassidy getting very low. He's probably going to fall down. Ooh, actually able to get that. Actually able to get the Queen before the Cassidy goes down, saving the Cassidy's life. However, Queen, Sorry's on the point. Ooh, she does go down to Cass though. Cass just stopping that push before it could reach the final destination, and now 43 seconds on the clock. Can No Defunks hold on here to keep LogiSwords from completing yet another payload-related map? Moira might feed. Might do a little bit more than feed. However, nope. That will probably just be it here. Oh, whoa, 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 Arissa. Can Arissa touch this point? She will. Wow, Arissa and Cassidy just absolutely popping off, putting the hammer down. Or putting the foot down. They don't have a hammer. No Rhine. No Torb. And that will just be it for the push. They don't finish. Wow. It looked like for sure they were going to finish there. Alright, No Defunks, you know what you have to do. Gotta push it right, basically to the end of this map, and you win. On the bright side, you don't have to go into extra rounds, so if you do that, you just win. However, we have not seen a very good push from them yet against LogiSwords. A map like this, Route 66, was very difficult. It was a trudge to get through. LogiSwords won about 2 fights for every 1 fight won by No Defunks. You want to keep that pace a little bit higher. If you trade fights, you probably win on attack. I'd much rather see a trading of fights happen here. Here we go. Can No Defunks stay in the series, or will they go down 3-0 without a fight? Remains to be seen here on Eichenwald. Seen some very... both the payload maps have been pretty close. However, Antarctic Peninsula, very one-sided in favor of LogiSwords. Alright, here we go. Comes the horse. Does pressure out this Hanzo a little bit. Is going to suck up a lot of his arrows. However, Widowmaker's going to be the first to fall. Zarya could go down here, but I don't think that's going to be enough, as the rest of the squad is going to fall. Very, very good hold coming out from LogiSwords. You get to evaporate about the same amount of time that was taken from you when you first made your attack. But now here's the crucial point. Can No Diff Unks win this next fight like LogiSwords did to them? The Zarya is going to be out of the fight for a tiny bit. She's basically back. So she does get back just in time to bubble. It's going to be a 1-for-1 trade. However, Cassidy's getting very low. However, you do have the two best heroes on your team alive. Ooh. Unfortunately, Orisa goes down. Cassidy still alive, though. He does pick off one. Now it's just him versus Hanzo. Two very good DPS. Cassidy able to steal that tick in this 1v1, and he does win the 1v1. Just proving how good Cassidy is as a DPS. He is going to get diffed here a little bit as the tanks come back on that swing. However, I think Widow and Orisa can do this. Oh, maybe not. It will result in a LogiSwords victory at the last possible second. Zarya almost going down, but not quite. 2 ticks given over. So now all you gotta do if you are No Diff Unks is win one more fight. You will push through this point, but man, it's gonna be rough. It's gonna be a slog, as you can see. Like I say, for every about 2 fights, for every 2 fights that LogiSwords win, No Diff Unks win 1. So it's a bit of an odd rotation here. You don't want to see that if you're No Diff Unks. You want to be able to get in here and win a fight convincingly. That's a good start. 2 down immediately, and you still have your Cassidy up. You got Cassidy and Widow. That should be more than enough to keep this Reaper at bay. And that will result in a first take here for No Diff Unks, and this Reaper is going to be staggered out quite a bit, because now he's going to get split spawned. Zarya going to push in here a little bit. Oh, and she just decided to back off. Smart play by the Zarya. Opting to regroup with that Reaper. Oh, never mind. She's coming back in. And this could result in a very quick death, as now she has no one with her. I spoke a little bit too soon here. Sorry, LogiSwords. Zarya gonna go behind. Never mind. Kind of a fat hole here from the Orisa. She does pick up that Hanzo. Zarya very low in the back. Widowmaker's going to pick that kill up with the SMG. And No Diff Unks starting to push here on Eichenwald. Reaper and Queen still being alive. Queen almost has the ultimate. Gotta watch out for that. She does get very low here. Pops the rush. Reaper. Oh, here comes the rampage, and it's actually pretty huge. He gets 3 members of No Diff Unks, and that looks like a team fight victory here for the LogiSwords, putting their best foot forward against one of their division rivals. Almost sending them to a 3-0, however. No Diff Unks have been making these maps a little close for comfort. Alright. Here comes the Widow. She will fall. Man, I don't know if we're going to see a map from this No Diff Unks team. I was thinking it would be possible. We've seen some clutches from Cassidy, but just haven't been quite enough. Gonna have to win 2 or 3 fights just to get through the second point on Eichenwald. Getting held at this corner is not a good look. Zarya doing what she can. Damage in the back. Reaper gonna pop that ultimate. Here comes the Coalescence. Widow's gonna be the first to fall, however. 2 fall for LogiSwords, and now it's looking like No Diff Unks have a chance of pushing through here. Orisa, Moira, and Cass working on that payload, pushing it forward now. You need to win like 2 more fights in this, and you need to be on the payload the entire time. We do see that Cassidy ult coming online. Almost up to the Orisa ult. Widowmaker's ult's basically a non-factor. Coalescence is a pretty good ult, but that was just used, so... Zarya ult and Hanzo ult will not be used. So, those ults are basically off the table. Zarya is going to go down here. Queen's going to fall quickly, and looking like a big advantage here for the good old-fashioned no diff unks, and I think they are just going to barely push through. Looking a lot like Route 66 here. Don't exactly want it to follow that script, though. If you are no diff unks, because you do want to take this, but oh, that's not good. Because now you have to win another fight here. Okay, Queen does get off the point. That will eventually push everything off the point. They will eventually push it in here. The aimbot is, or not the aimbot, the wall hacks are up, but not sure how much that matters. Zarya is going to fall here. Reaper getting very low. And that is going to be 3 members of LogiSwords falling on this last point. And now, here we go. Crucial last fight territory coming in here. Whoever wins this is taking this map. I almost guarantee it. I don't know if we're going to see 2 good fights out of no diff unks. So whoever wins this, probably going to take this map right here, right now. Did a good job whittling down the time bank. Oh, Rissa goes down. Or Zarya goes down, excuse me. Moira is the first to fall, but Moira's almost okay with that if you are no diff unks, and it looks like they're just barely going to push over the edge, and that will be 1 map going the way of no diff unks. Very good Icon Vault coming out. They're able to hold out on that 3rd point defense. Was looking very good for LogiSwords on that first attack, however, just doing enough on that defense, and then on the offense, just barely enough to push it over the edge. And no diff unks have taken a map off of LogiSwords. They just need to keep fighting and clawing if they want to win this series. Going to Petra, so we're going to see a deathmatch. This is where I think LogiSwords really thrive, so I don't know if this is great. Don't know if this is great. Having the Moira is going to be a bit of a throw. We will have to see. Petra, very odd map to watch spectator sports on. It's going to be pretty difficult. Watch what everyone's doing. Maybe I'll just watch POVs for this one. Very good start for LogiSwords here. Oops. Okay, I'm going to try to get out of the POVs real quick. I'll just TP to a POV once there's a fight happening. Very good start here for LogiSwords, looking to put down the 3-1 if they can manage. Hanzo's going to fall here, though. Combination of Moira and Cassidy. Reaper going to fall, too. Cassidy picking up a quick 2 kills here. Cassidy getting 3. However, a couple picks coming from the LogiSwords in the back, as I'm not watching that. Well, Cassidy just absolutely going off here. I kind of just want to watch Cassidy's POV. However, LogiSwords still leading this one. Doing a very good job at winning overall in these team fights. This team is very strong on Deathmatch. They have so much sustain and so much damage. Each of them can really just make an impact in this mode. Looks like Cassidy's probably going to fall here. Widowmaker and Cass trying to work together, but just not quite enough damage to get through them. Moira going to be in the small corridor, not exactly where you want to be as a Moira. $15-5 already. This is a steamroll on Petra. Proving why this is one of LogiSwords' best map types. Hard to beat him here. Rissa does pick off 1 in the back, but gonna need a lot more than that to start a comeback. Already down 12 kills. Cassidy pretty much having 5 of those 6. Widowmaker will help grab another one here. However, it is already 20-7. And you did win that map on Eichenwald. You gotta feel good about that if you're no Defunks, but doesn't look like you're gonna be able to get anything other than a 3-1 here. As this map has just been all LogiSwords. (26-8). Just an absolute dominant showing here from LogiSwords on this Fetcher map. Widowmaker trying to fight here, but she is going to fall. Looking like LogiSwords are going to take this. And Moira will fall here, and suddenly this map is almost as over as quickly as it started. (32-8). Only 8 kills needed for LogiSwords to secure the series into a 3-1 fashion. Widowmaker getting 1, but that's just not going to be enough here. You are already down more than double digits. Oh Lord. Or not more than double digits, just double digits, but you are down a lot. And only 4 kills necessary here for LogiSwords. This is going to be a 3-1. The only chance here for is if just something absolutely absurd, like a bug happens. But I don't see that happening here. LogiSwords are going to be taking this series 3-1. Quite a dominant fashion. Good Eichenwald coming out from No Defunks, but just not quite enough. That'll be all.